Welcome to spooky season. Yes, we have finally reached October, and October, as everybody knows, is spooky season. Now, what better way to get into the spooky season feels than actually to talk about something that came out a little over a month ago that I have watched and I'm ready to talk about, and that is Alien Earth. Quick little disclaimer, obviously I will be mentioning spoilers around this show, so if you have not watched this show whatsoever, please avoid this video for now. Go watch Alien Earth and then come back and we'll discuss it. Now, if you've already watched Alien Earth and you just want to hear my thoughts, let's continue. Now, Alien Earth is coming out at a very opportune time. And that is because it's coming out of the success of two great films that take place pretty much in the same universe. One of them obviously being Alien Romulus, which is a movie that I had the absolute pleasure of seeing in theaters. And I can definitely tell you that it was absolutely amazing. And also there's another film as well, which is Prey. Now I know what you're going to say, that's a Predator-based movie. Yes, but it takes place within the same universe as Aliens. So I think that also constitutes as a win as well when it comes to going and watching Alien Earth. So I think that they chose a really good time to release this show, and it shows very much so that they are aware of their success. Now, when they first said that they were working on an Alien series, and I'm talking about well over a year ago, I was very excited because ultimately I thought, wait a second, an alien-based show? I mean, that's kind of intriguing. I can see where people would be attracted to that idea. And at the same time, I was a bit skeptical because honestly, like, the best parts of Alien as a movie truly came in the form of the fact of it being a really short span of a film. Like, it wasn't a 3-hour film, it was more like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes as a film, and it covering everything it needed to cover in that hour and 45 minutes. With a series, you kind of have to find a way to expand the story in order for it to fit alongside 8 episodes. And I feel like that can actually be either a detriment to the show or it could actually make the show better. But I can wholeheartedly say that after watching this show, I can see what they are trying to accomplish with the show. I like it. I feel like it built a really nice, basis for the show. But I truly feel like it needs a few little tweaks just to make it literally the best Alien show of all time. Now let's start off with the things that I absolutely loved about this show. Like always, I am a big cinematography guy, and this show is built for cinema viewing. I am telling you this because it's truly a cinematic experience that you're getting fully on screen. You are getting crispy, beautiful cinematography that truly tells the story of these characters. And I feel like a lot of FX shows have been very cinematic as of lately. So I feel like it's not a huge surprise, but it is incredible how well this show looks. And the visual style put on display by Noah Hawley is honestly chef's kiss. And obviously I can't even forget to talk about the intro of this show, which is honestly inspired by the original Alien. That really slow Alien intro, the same as you would see in the actual original movies. Honestly, gotta give them props for making that happen. And what is a creepy show without a creepy score? Yes, the very eerie-esque, orchestra playing in the background, violin uses. Honestly, overall ambiance through the soundtrack of this show is great. Now, obviously, you have moments where they drop the oddball, rock soundtrack in there. But I feel like it fits the show for the moment it's trying to set up. But I can say for a fact that the score of this show is really well done. I also feel like one of the best additions to the Alien franchise was introduced literally within the first 5 minutes of watching the very first episode. And that is that humanity is evolving. And along with our evolution, we're becoming one with machines. So you have your hybrids, which are essentially a cross between, human and robot, which is none other than the consciousness of a human inside a robotic body. You have cyborgs, which are humans that have been cybernetically enhanced. So it is a full human person, but they also have cybernetic enhancements. So there you go. You have your cyborgs, and then you have your synths, which are entirely synthetic human hybrids. Like, they're literally just robots. There it is. They're just robots. And they just look like humans. But that's all they are. Synths are just human-looking robots. That's it. No human connection, no consciousness involved, just pure robot. And I feel like that is a great concept to introduce in an Alien show. I feel like at first you're kind of like caught off guard, but I feel like that's where humanity would be going when we're dealing with, Weyland-Yutani and this like really big corporations that are, essentially going out to, other planets to excavate and, increase profits, which is essentially what they're trying to do. And that idea in and of itself is brilliant. Seeing that there are 3 types of human evolutionary type, how can I say it? Like archetypes? Humanoid beings? I mean, it's really kind of mind-boggling that we would be getting this sort of thing in an Alien show, and then also questioning, what is this? Like, is it more human? Is it more promoting like longevity in humans? Like, all these questions play out in your mind when you have something like this being introduced to you. So I feel like they did a great job introducing these like 3 new types of beings alongside humans on this show, and I feel like that was a brilliant idea. And alongside the introduction of these humanoid hybrids, we're also getting the introduction to new aliens. I mean, dude, we get an alien that's just an eyeball with tentacles, which at first you'd think, okay, cute-ish, kind of creepy, but that thing is scary on this show. And then we get another one, which is kind of like a bug that chews on electronics. So perfect combination, right? You have these humanoid-esque robots in this facility that is also, with these creatures, insect-looking things that go after mechanical parts. Perfect combo, right? Like, oh, nothing is threatening to these robots except the fact that there's an insect that likes electronics. Go figure. And then you have this other one, which is like this sort of tentacly, kind of flower-esque creature. Also, very weird as well. And I feel like the introduction of these new alien types are great. I mean, there's also this other one, which is essentially like a leech that like attaches to you and starts sucking your blood. Like, it's a really weird introduction. Like, these new aliens build out a new lineage of alien in the Alien franchise. And I've probably said the word alien like maybe 8 times in the last 5 minutes. But in this case, it's a lot of alien to deal with. And I feel like all these introductions to these new aliens were great, and they added a whole other creepy factor to the mix as well. And what would a successful show be without its incredible casting? Let's start off with the star of the show, Sydney Chandler. She plays Wendy on this show. Obviously, she is the main character of the show. She is the lead of the show. And the story basically revolves around her as well. I truly believe she did incredible work here. She embodies the mindset of a 12-year-old being transformed into a 20-ish-year-old body, and just the fact that she gains abilities along the way, being able to control machines and screens and hack into things and being able to communicate with aliens. I mean, she is one of the most strongly developed characters, I believe, at least in current TV shows. It's hard to find another character that is so well developed, and I feel like she's very well developed. Wendy is a very well developed character by the team, and obviously Noah Hawley, being truly detail oriented in this character's favor. And you can see when she has her human emotions, you can see when she's, being one with the machine that she's been given. It's a very interesting dynamic that is at play there. Like, is she fully human? Is she fully synthetic? Is there a certain, intersecting point there that they're trying to reach? I mean, the end of the story, obviously, she questions that herself. In the very last episode, she even questions that herself. But I feel like that is definitely the direction that she would be going in. And I think that is a brilliant character that has been created. And I think Sydney Chandler plays this role absolutely beautifully. And I really, truly hope that they renew this show for a second season, because it still hasn't been announced yet, but I think it deserves it just for the fact that she did a great job in and of itself. Babu Seze as Morrow, I think this is probably one of the most intriguing characters on television now. You have the most interesting, most fully developed character in Wendy, and then you have probably one of the most intriguing characters in Morrow. I think Babu did a fantastic job here, being sort of like this cut and dry, trying to be the balance between good and evil, being that he leans toward the evil-ish part, but he's trying to strike that balance between good and evil in his own way. Even though I don't agree with his methods, he definitely does bring forward an incredible character. I think Babu did a fantastic job of creating a character that is supposed to be this sort of like half human, half, he's a cyborg, obviously, but you can see that there's a level of like no F's given. Like, let's just put it there. Like, there's a certain level of like, I don't give a crap. I will do everything in my power to absolutely get the job done. And it shows in this character. And it's a character that I want to see in a possible future season, because I feel like there's a whole lot of story there that needs to be told with that character alone that I would be down for. He is probably, of the entire show, he's probably the second most interesting character on the show for me, and a character that I want to see more of in this world of Alien. Alex Lothar as Hermit, being, obviously Wendy, aka Marcy's brother, obviously finding out that, this Wendy is actually his sister, and her consciousness is in this, robotic body, and that all these memories that she had are in this new body and in this new form is kind of like revolutionary to him, Hermit is completely like taken aback, like, wait a second, you're my sister? What? And I feel like that character is the character that kind of brings her down, kind of keeps her grounded and firm, and it kind of enforces her belief in making sure that she keeps her family safe and that she can go about, doing what she can to keep those she loves safe. So I do believe that his character is very strong, and I think Alex Lothar did a brilliant job here. Samuel Blanken as Boy Cavalier. I think that this is a very interesting role. as much as I didn't love the character, I do think that this is a role that is so mixed with the type of, acting that they're trying to deliver here. I definitely see a mix between, Willy Wonka and like the Joker, and maybe even a little bit of the Riddler in there as well. Like there's a combination of characters there in this one character, Boy Cavalier. And I feel like this character is really shrouded in a lot of mystery, that as much as I have seen the shots of him kind of maybe bleeding red, which is definitely a sign that he could be human, there's still a theory in there that I have that I will discuss later on in this video. But nonetheless, I feel like there's a lot of mystery there that could be covered in a future season that I'd be definitely interested in exploring. Now, forgive me because now I have to say all these names and their characters, and honestly, like, my memory is like, phew. But give me 1 second while I literally list out these names that I gotta talk about, okay? Lily Newmark as Nibs, Arana James as Curly, Kit Young as Toodles, Adarsh Gaurav as Slightly, Jonathan Ajayi as Smee. These are the surrounding characters that actually kind of come together to kind of make Wendy feel at home and kind of gives her people to talk to and connect with. I feel like these are all great actors. I would probably say that Jonathan, who plays Smee, is probably my favorite of the 5 because he is the closest one to actually embody a child. I feel like he played a child so well throughout this entire show that I was truly impressed. I was truly impressed by his work, and I just can't wait to see him in a future season. I think these are fantastic actors. They chose incredible actors to play these roles, and even though we have little screen time with them, I am sure that we will see most of them in future seasons, and each one will have a very intriguing background to explore, and I just can't wait to explore more of them in a future season. And we cannot finish this list of incredible actors without talking about Timothy Oliphant as Kirsch, who is the synth of this show. That obviously in the beginning I was questioning whether or not that he was the synth, but I feel like he did incredibly well here. I mean, he's Timothy Oliphant. How is he not going to be great in anything he does? It's obvious he is great in this as well. And I gotta give him props because he did such a wonderful job, embodying this synthetic droid character, which we've seen so many times in Aliens, in Alien films, but I feel like he did wonderfully here. And obviously there's a lot of mystery as well around his character that we could definitely explore in future seasons, but I feel like he just did a great job, and I just can't wait to get more of him in a future season. So you might be asking yourself, what was your favorite episode of the season? And I gotta say it was episode 5, which, shocker, almost like the episode in, the paper, episode 5 was good. This one, episode 5 was good as well. And it's for a very good reason. It's a very simple and basic reason. This is the episode that feels most like an Alien film. As a matter of fact, I would even suggest, and this is my own main suggestion, that you'd go back, and if you are going to watch the series for the first time, if you're watching my review or my thoughts video, I don't like to call reviews because I don't think that these are reviews, but if you think about how it's structured overall, episode 5 was technically supposed to be episode 1. So go watch episode 5 first. Do not watch the entire seasons from 1 to 8 and think that you're watching it in order. No. Do yourself the favor and watch episode 5 first. Episode 5 is it's gonna set the base for you for what the show is and why they're here and what's about this crash and all these people on the ship and why most of them died and maybe one or two almost survived, but it was, all due to the alien attack on board. Honestly, episode 5 was the best episode, and I would say that that's the one that if I could sit in a theater and watch, that is probably the episode that I would want to go and watch in theaters, because episode 5 is just that good. So, yeah, episode 5, 100% recommend you go watch that episode first and then watch the rest of the series. Go from 4 directly to 6, 7, and 8, and you will not be disappointed. And you probably have asked yourself, wait a second, you've only said good things about it, and you said that there was things to be changed about the show. So what is the bad part of the show? I'm not going to say it was a bad part, but I would say that there is a need here to do some tweaking in order for it to be the best alien show of all time. Because it's not there yet, but it's in that direction. It's moving in that direction. But it needs to fix a few things, and I feel like there are only 2 things that need to be fixed on this show's direction. So the first thing that I think that would need to be changed, and this is something that I've been seeing with a lot of shows as of recently, and I will point to directly to Andor as one of those examples. But I feel like a lot of these shows nowadays are trying to expand as much as they can of the material, and they have to add stuff to it, and it feels like there's a bunch of filler episodes. I feel like this show, of the entirety of the show, you could probably cut out maybe 30% of certain storylines that really don't make a huge impact in the very end, and overall just makes the story feel like there's just filler content in it. So I feel like that would be it. I feel like you have to take out a few of the things in order to make room for things that people want to see. The name of the show is called Alien Earth. People want to see aliens wrecking stuff. People want to see aliens absolutely devouring everything that comes into its path. That's all we want to see. If you have the word alien, we want to see aliens doing crazy stuff. And obviously you want that one human being at the very end of the story to survive. That's who we are cheering for, that one hero character. Then obviously that character can kill as many aliens as they want. But then again, that's what I want from an alien show. I want to see action. I want the show to feel like the type of movie that I go to see when I see an aliens movie. When I saw Alien Romulus, you really don't have a whole lot of time of characters sitting down and talking. You do have those moments, sure, that's fine, but you're probably going to get maybe, of the entire movie, maybe 15 minutes of characters just sitting down and having conversation and that sort of thing. It's anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes of the entire movie, because the rest, it's intriguing, it's building, there's something growing, and they're not constrained to a box, or in this case, an island. So I want to see in a future season, hopefully in season 2, more action. I want them to dive fully into the fact that they have a xenomorph, they have xenomorphs, and they have all these other aliens that they could work with. Like, give me more of that. That's what I want. I don't want slow, methodical episodes. I don't even want to call them boring, but it's just slow sometimes. And this show, unfortunately, falls into that sort of slow trap. And it happens like twice. I would probably say 2 of the episodes of the entire season are kind of slow and kind of like, okay, get to the point already. So I'm hoping that they dive in and give us a very big, thrilling season if they get a season 2. Now, the second issue that I have with this show happens at the very end. And unfortunately, it's the fact that this show ends on a cliffhanger. Yes, it ends on a cliffhanger where these, new hybrids are now out to kind of, go out into the world, so to speak. And I like the idea, but I think the execution was not good. And the thing is that in order for you to end a show on a cliffhanger, you need to build up to that cliffhanger. You need to build that momentum in order to get people to keep watching and want to see more. The thing is that this show did not warrant that cliffhanger. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to end this series and you want it to have like a possible continuation, then may I suggest that if you are in that zone already, if you're already talking about synths and robotic human beings and, you know, the realism behind these sort of synthetic human being hybrid robots, why not borrow from one of the best robot-based sci-fi films ever made in Ex Machina? I feel like the ending of Ex Machina could have been absolutely perfect for this show. If they would have borrowed the ending of Ex Machina, oh my goodness, that would have been perfect. You know why? Because if they don't get a second season, you finish the first season not on a cliffhanger, but on a hopeful kind of like, here you go. Like, here's a suggestion. Because if I'm thinking about it correctly, if they wanted to do an Ex Machina 2, they could. The end of Ex Machina is not a cliffhanger, but instead is more of a suggestive ending. And they could have had a suggestive ending here. So here's where I think the show should have gone in the very end. You know, as soon as Wendy says, "We rule," and you see all the Lost Boys behind her, they could have added another 2 or 3 minutes. You know, we get Wendy going on a boat, you know, escaping the island, getting out of the island. They reach land, and then you just see them walking throughout the city, kind of exploring, kind of mind blown that they are walking amongst humans, you know, openly. And then you end the series with them walking on the street all together and them looking up, and they are looking up at like a Weyland-Yutani building, and in that building is a billboard talking about, you know, how you can create a better life for yourself, you know, and you just see them looking up at that building, and you just see the reaction on their faces like, yeah, we're about to take this corporation down. And that could have been the end. You know, that could have been the end of the show, and instead of just giving us the "we rule" ending, didn't quite love that ending. Didn't quite love that cliffhanger ending. Could have given us a more suggestive ending rather than just cutting us off at the very end. Didn't like it, but you know what? I still see potential in the show moving forward. Now, I do believe I have a character theory here. A theory about a character on this show that ultimately could come to fruition in a future season. Now, as I've spoken about it earlier, we do talk about Boy Cavalier. Boy Cavalier is, you know, a character that is very kind of shrouded in mystery in a way. And I feel like there's something a little bit more to him than most people think. And I have a theory here, is that Boy Cavalier, in fact, is not human. As crazy as it may sound, and as much as you may see, you know, red blood coming out of his nose, or the fact that he looks and reacts to things quite humanly, I have a theory that he is not human. And that he, in fact, is a hybrid. In fact, the very first hybrid that was continued on. You know, and I feel like Boy Cavalier, in fact, is possibly a 90-year-old man who had the opportunity to be transferred to a younger body and is now continuing on the legacy of this company. I feel like that is what his story is going to be revolved around. And if they are capable of pulling off something crazy like that, I'd be very interested, because it would just give a whole other meaning to what Boy Cavalier is doing. And in fact, he's going to continue to be a child for the rest of his life and be in this sort of like 20-ish-year-old body, being that he's like probably over 90 years old. That is my theory. You know, if you could do it to a child, why not do it to someone who's much older, right? I feel like that is where we're going. And then obviously they're going to create an explanation as to why he bleeds red and not white. And I feel like it all has to do with keeping up appearances. But that is my theory. My theory is that Boy Cavalier, in fact, is an old man that was transferred to a new body, similar to how Wendy, who was in fact Macy, a much younger girl who got transferred into an adult body. I feel like that's what's going to happen to him. And if that's the case, I feel like I was feeling that energy all this time. And like I have been, saying this whole time, I still think that even after those two little issues that I found with this show, I still think that it will get a second season. I feel like it would be the most obvious to actually get a second season out of this show because there's still a whole lot more story to tell. And if I have to be honest, everything that I have seen from the show makes me believe that what it's trying to do, and what it's clearly trying to do, is become sort of like the Andor of the Alien franchise. And I believe it can still do that. I still believe that they have the power to make this the Andor of the Alien franchise. And if they can pull that off by doing little tweaks and making the direction of the show feel a little bit more Alien and less, Blade Runner, I believe that this show can become one of the best sci-fi shows of all time. All it has to do is just make those tiny tweaks, and if they are capable of doing that, this show is gonna skyrocket. It's gonna be the GOAT, for real. Now, obviously, I was watching this show with my dad, and he actually mentioned something really interesting that I have to agree. Due to the direction of this show and where it wants to go, which is to talk about more of the robots and talk about how synthetic humans are roaming around this world, which happens to have aliens in them, I think the right way of tackling this would have been to rename the show. I mean, let's think about it for a second. If I told you Prometheus, if I talked about Prometheus here, you would never know that Prometheus is an alien film. As a matter of fact, I had no idea the first time I watched Prometheus. I had zero clue that this movie was an alien film, was a film that even talked about anything pertaining to aliens. And I only found out that it was an alien film at the very end of the movie, where we get a short little cutscene of this sort of xenomorph-esque creature, coming out of this sort of like womb. It's crazy, but I only found out about that at the very end. I feel like for Alien Earth, they could have just changed the name to something else. It could have been like, something crazy like Hybrids, or, Weyland-Yutani, or something crazy. Just, I'm trying to like brainstorm a word or a phrase here that could associate with this show. You could even call it life or something very generic. But I feel like when you put the name Alien onto a project, it has to deliver Alien. And I feel like Alien was like maybe 5% of the overall 100% of this show. And if it was up to me, I would be seeing more Alien than no Alien at all. And obviously, I would want to see more action. But then again, my dad had a really great point in saying that we could have changed the name of the show in order to fit this very interesting world that they're trying to create here. And like I say in all of my videos, these are only my thoughts. And I want to hear your thoughts. I want to know what you guys think of this show. Did you like this show? Did you not like this show? Are you going to see the show in the future? Is there something about Alien that just attracted you to the series? Or were you not interested because you thought, oh, it's going to be a TV series, there's nothing for me here, why am I watching this? You probably were thinking that. I mean, for me personally, I came into it thinking that I was going to see a whole lot more of Alien roaming the Earth rather than just an island. I just honestly, like I've said, I just want to see a xenomorph in the streets wrecking stuff. Like, that's all I want to see. I just want to see action-based carnage from the alien, and obviously humans killing off those aliens, like the battle between the two of them. I would love to see that. And I don't know if you would love to see that as well. I'm curious as well. I want to know what you guys think. And if you are curious about what I think, I am also curious about what you think down below in the comments. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.